another Dear Piggy Python tutorial. In this video, we are going to be working on the Lambda function. And Lambda is really important in Python. We use it so much. And today we're going to kind of break down the basic Lambda function. And we're also going to use Lambda inside of our custom function. Now, when we create our own function with Lambda inside of it, this might get a little confusing, and that is totally okay because we're going to go over it quite a bit in the future, and every time you go over it one more time, you'll understand it a little bit more. So we'll explain it twice in this video. You can go home and think about it a couple times, and then when we come and review it again, it'll be, you've got it down pat. So let's get started. Let's go to repl.it, which is our in-browser IDE. Click the blue Start Coding button, choose Python, and create your REPL. So the first thing we're going to learn about is a basic Lambda function. And Lambda in this case is going to be a keyword. And we just write Lambda, and it's Lambda. So don't spell it wrong. Lambda, right? And so we're going to work on doing the Lambda keyword and doing like A, B, colon, A times B. And we're going to get into that in a second, what that actually means. So first we're going to set it equal to a variable, and we can set it equal to x. X is equal to Lambda. We can go with A, B. Let's do A plus B. Now, what this means, guys, is it's essentially saying that, I don't know why this keeps on doing that. There we go. It's basically, Lambda is a function here. It's an anonymous function. And it's saying when you go have the variable x and you print it out, it's going to ask you for two values, A and B. And when you give them the two values, it's going to add them together. So in this case, you might be thinking that x is a variable, and let me correct you on that part. Lambda is a function. So this part is a function. So a variable cannot have a value of a function. Only a function can be equal to a function, right? So once we've set x equal to the lambda a, b, then x is also a function. So take the idea that x is a variable, throw it out the window, and bring in the idea that x is now a function. So now if we printed x is a function, and it needs to have two values, a and b. So we would do another set of parentheses, and then as REPL is even prompting you here, it's like, so give me an a and give me a b. Give me two values. So we can give 3, 5. So what do you think is going to happen here? As I've explained, Lambda is a function. It's going to have two values, and when it gets the two values, it's going to add them together. Now, since Lambda is a function, x is naturally also a function. And then the two values that we gave for x is 3 and 5. So a would be 3, b would be 5. So if we printed it out, we would do 3 plus 5, which is 8. So perfect. That is the basic Lambda function. We can try it again. We can say, now instead of a plus b, we change it to a times b. And so what this would do is it would multiply 3 times 5, because again, a is 3, b is 5. 3 times 5 is 15. So now we kind of understand what a basic Lambda function does. It's an anonymous function that can take actually however many values you want and do whatever you want to it. We can even say a, b, c, and say a times b times c. Now in this case, we need to give another value. We need to give the c value. And so we can say 3, 5, 2. And what would this do, guys? It would do 3 times 5 times 2, which is 15 times 2, which is 30. So as you can see, Lambda can take in however many values you want, and you can do whatever you want with it. In this tutorial, we're going to be working with operators, specifically math operators, but in the future, Lambda can stretch out to so many different things. It does a lot of stuff, guys. Okay, so now that we basically understand a basic Lambda, let's get into the more complicated part. And don't start groaning, because it is totally okay if we do not completely understand this part. All we want is a pretty good idea to understand what is happening. And this is a little bit more advanced, but you guys are smart. I think you'll be fine. So let's take a look over here. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to write our own function that returns a lambda function. However, in our function, we're going to pass in an argument. In this case, it's called n. And we're going to say whatever number we pass in is going to be what we multiply a by. So let's come on in and do that. And the return keyword. The return keyword, some of you may not seen it before. It doesn't do much, especially in this function. All it's saying is run this line of code and then exit your function. So return isn't going to really do much in this case, but let's just put it there because you'll see it in the future and we want to get used to it. So we can do define my func. And then inside of, we need to pass in an argument. We can call it num because we're going to pass in a number, right? And we're going to return lambda a, and it's going to ask for one value a, and what it's going to do to a is it's going to multiply a by our number, right? So we understand this function. My func is a function that takes in an argument called num. However, my func is also a function that returns a lambda function, and it's going to multiply your value a by whatever number you pass in. So now we have two variables, essentially, two different number slots. And so we need to define them, basically. So how we're going to do that is we're going to say my func. In this case, we can say 2. My func 2. And what this means is it's saying my func 2 is num. So 2 is your argument that you passed in for num. So num equals 2 now. So whatever you give for a, this function is going to do 2 times of a. So my func 2 is essentially replacing num. Num is now replaced as 2. Right? So what we need to do now is we need to assign it to another variable. We can call it my doubler. So my doubler equals my func. This is where I want you guys to kind of look at it again. My func is a function that takes in an argument called 2. However, since my doubler has a value of a function, my doubler now is a function. So remember, take the idea that my doubler is a variable, throw it at the window, and bring in the new idea that my doubler is a function. So if my doubler is essentially saying that num is now 100%, you cannot change it anymore. Num is 100% 2. There's no saying anything about that. Num is just equal to 2 in this case. So this does not change. Num will no longer change. From line 8 and on, num will always be equal to 2. Now we've basically established that num is equal to 2. However, we're still missing our value of a, right? We have num is 2, but what is a? And this is where we need to run our myDoubler function. We're going to print myDoubler, but since myDoubler is a function, guys, it needs to take in some sort of value. And as Replit is even prompting you, this myDoubler is the lambda function. MyDoubler is this lambda function. So in these parentheses, you're taking in what a is supposed to be. So we can say print a3. So we run our code and we see that it gives us 6 down here. It gives us 6. Let me comment this out, as well as the line above it. So now we have myDoubler equals myfunc2, and this is looking very confusing, guys. I get it, but we'll break it down step by step. Let's print another line, still using the myDoubler function, except this time we can use 6. So now a is 6, a is 3, num is 2, num is 2. So while myDoubler, the value of a is always changing in lines 10 and 11, num has never changed because, like I said before, from line 8 and beyond, num is always equal to 2 unless we change it again. We run our code again, we get 6 and 12 because 3 times 2 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12. Now let's kind of break this down again step by step. We've defined our function with an input parameter called num. And in this case, when we ran my func, We gave it that parameter. We told it to equal 2. We physically told it to be 2. We told it to do that. So now, after this line, my func always has the value of 2. So we've established that. We've established the my func. However, we're still missing the value of a, right? And so my doubler is going to be where this lambda function comes in. Remember, my doubler is a function because my func is a function. So my doubler is going to be the lambda function. And so the only thing that we're missing now, guys, is the value of a. And my func num is 2, so a naturally is going to be what we tell it to be for the my doubler function. So we run our my doubler function and we pass in the value of 3. So 3 is equal to a. We run it again and we change my doubler 3 to 6. So then a is going to change from 3 to 6. So essentially, we created our own function that returned a lambda function inside of it. It took in a parameter, an argument in its parameter, and in line 8, when we ran my func2, we defined that number. In lines 10 and 11, we changed the values of a from nothing to 3 to 6. So my doubler was the lambda function. My func2 was the part where we defined the input parameter. So guys, yes, I know, that was confusing. It was slightly more difficult than what we've learned before. So we explained it twice in this video. Maybe go home and when you're running outside or when you're eating, think over it a couple more times in your head. So when you ever learn it one more time, whether it's with me again or with anywhere else, it's going to make more sense. So this was our first run of Lambda, and I'm already very, very proud of you guys for being able to do our own Lambda function inside of a function on our first go-through for Lambda. But you know what? Lambda is such an important topic, and it can do so many things. So we're already doing great with Lambda. So great job, guys, on our Lambda functions, and we will see you in the last video for libraries. So bye, guys. See you in the next one.